Good evening, Highway to the Threemus Zone fans. Welcome to another wonderful race that we have tonight between Big Dunka and jenicastrife. We have a wonderful hook route matchup today. Both these runners are 1-0, looking to advance in this very difficult hook route. My name is Vitasia. I am joined tonight by the man, the myth, the legend, Bakashinobi. How are we doing tonight, Baka?
A bit scared after that intro. You're hyping me up too much.
That's
But
my job. I'm the hype guy, right?
that's fair. But yes, thank you. I am glad to be here. This is going to be an exciting match between these two runners in the hook crouch. This is one of these stages of our tournament. We have 3-round Swiss for both what is called the hook route and the magma group. They are playing to go and get into play-in races to reach the table stage. At 3 wins, they will go and get in a play-in race against only 3-0 runners in their group. So for the hook route runners, just 3-0 hook route players, and the winner of that race will advance to tables. If they don't get in that race, there'll be a 2-win, and all the leftovers from the 3-0 race playing for another qualifier spot at the table. So, big stakes. Going 2-1 is acceptable. Going 3-0 is preferred. We have 2 1-0 runners. They both want to win. They both want to go advance to that table. And we're going to go and see how well that works out for our runners, because we're mean. We only hand out 1 win per match.
Absolutely. And nothing in the hook group is really given. Only 2 total people out of about 50 total entrants are going to advance from the hook groups. It's just absolutely, and there's a lot of really solid runners in the hook group. A lot of people are saying Magma group is stronger, and that's absolutely true, but more people from Magma are getting through. Only 2 in all of those 50 plus hook route runners are ever going to get in. So it's really a race down to who those top 2 runners are. Meanwhile, our runners are off right now. We have a Cecil and a Porum start, and we are gifted with a hook. Appropriate, I think, for this start.
Yeah, runners aren't going to catch any breaks in their route, and why should they don't catch any breaks from their seed? The hook being one of the 2 ways underground. The first being the magma key. You just drop it down a well. Big hole opens up in the middle of the world, and you can fly straight down and get to the underworld. The other way is the hook route, where you need to go and pick up the hovercraft, bring it to Evelyn Cave, fight your way through Upper Babel through 2 fights, and then you'll go and access the underworld by launching the Falcon. When with our objectives, raise the big whale, defeat the boss of the Baron Inn, and complete Sealed Cave, we will need to get underground one way or another, as both forging the adamant and completing Sealed Cave require access to the underground. But I think our runner's going to be spending a fair amount of time in the overworld looking for another way underground, hopefully.
That's typically pretty standard for us to be able to do at this point in time. Go ahead and build your party, do the rest of the overworld checks. We do have free characters, so we're going to see some character hunting right now. Jenica is showing us double Cecils as well as a Sid. Oh my.
I heard we had first Cecil. What about second Cecil?
I don't know
And
if they've
second,
started second Cecils.
on these flags, you definitely want to have a second Cecil, because we have the vanilla agility flag on. In the normal randomizer without this flag on, the center character is guaranteed to be what's called your agility anchor, which, short term, it's the basis for the calculation of how fast all enemies and characters are in a fight. With Cecil in your team, he is required to be your anchor. Wherever he is in your party, he'll go and be what that agility calculation is based on. And if you have 2 of them, it's the Cecil in the highest priority slot. So you can do some manipulation still, and also make good use of those very high tier weapons that we can find for Cecil.
Absolutely. Cecil is capable of the 2 highest damage. Well, okay, 2 of the highest damage weapons in the game with the Crystal Sword and the Excalibur. Oh, meanwhile, Jenica is going to be showing us an edge available in the waterfall cave. Edge is really kind of special in this particular flag set. I mean, he starts off already at level 25 and at least decently equipped right to start off the bat. So that's a great pickup. Meanwhile, Dunga does show us a Tellah in our required Baron Inn location. So that's also a nice character to pick up.
What's not so nice is that Golbez guarding him, as the Golbez fight What's going to happen is he's going to laugh at you because he's then going to kill off your team until down to just 2 living party members. And then you start the fight. We have no way of preventing that unless you have a ribbon or an adamant, and there will be no adamant armors in this seed as we have the no adamants flag on. So that Golbez is going to be rude, and what's even worse, you have to do another fight after Golbez.
I think that's the worst part, honestly, about that Golbez fight. It's the start fight. That first fight is not overly difficult to start out with, relatively low HP spot. And to have Golbez there immediately killing off all but 2 of your party members, rude.
And it's also rather fast for the Overworld spot and has good magic, so Golbez is only going to use spells, and his normal spell slot is rather weak on the magic power to be a fair fight. No such fairness here. He will probably be one-shotting characters with his spells unless you take him down quickly or get a Star Veil off to get wall on your characters. Ooh, and seeing a Zeus Gauntlet in the Damsian Treasury. That is an amazing piece of equipment. It gives plus 10 strength to the character, and it gives giant resistance, which while we don't have any bosses who are giant class enemies, there is a chest on the way down to the Upper Babel Path that has 4 Mad Ogres. They count as giants, and when you have defense against giants, it doubles your defense. If you have a Cecil with it, he can double the defense and cover the rest of the team. That can be pretty massive for our runners.
Meanwhile, Jenica is also showing us in Damsian, we are awarded with our wonderful punch mage, as he's been known, Yang, who's one of my favorite characters, honestly, simply because he takes so little equipment to turn him online, just levels. But Jenica does avoid him up to this point in time. Happy with the party that she has up to this point in time. Going over and now doing a pretty standard routing into the Antlion cave, which is traditionally what people end up starting with in terms of key item locations. It's relatively easier to do in terms of your levels, where you're at. So really looking forward to seeing what ends up happening, opening up some chests as we end up doing. Pretty straightforward for both these runners so far.
And speaking of Yang, bigdunka is taking Yang over his second Cecil, so we are going to go and have a punch mage on bigdunka's side, while Jenica is going with the double Cecil setup and choosing to forgo him, which is interesting. Dark Knight Cecil is really bad in the early game. He gets a lot of help in the vanilla story to even come close to doing acceptable damage, with numerous early bosses getting weaknesses to dark type damage, which only Dark Knight Cecil can do. But even then, Dark Knight Cecil is a pretty weak character. His best weapon is going to let him do maybe a few hundred points of damage. That said, Yang's not going to be able to go and do a few hundred points of damage until he gets some experience on him, and he's not going to be getting that experience very quickly. We see bigdunka is choosing to go up Hobbs, choosing not to go into Antlion yet, seeing who the character here is, and the boss seeing a Porum and a form of Mylon. It is either Mylon and Friends or Mylon Z. Meanwhile, Jenica is getting herself prepared in the Antlion cave, throwing out all the equipment that she's found, getting Edge in the middle, and just getting ready to go to town.
That's pretty much what you expect at this point. Now, Sid, even at this point in time, I mean, Sid's level 20. He doesn't come with a bunch of equipment, but level 20 is still level 20, and with a wooden hammer, you can still dish out quite a bit of damage, even at where he's at right now. So probably won't have too much difficulty right now. Couple Cecils, but really counting on both Edge and Sid to carry the party until the Cecils come online. Haven't really seen a whole lot of weapons for Cecil up to this point in time, have we?
No, I don't think I've seen much great. Sid's got a poison axe, and you can see the wonderful damage of Dark Knight Cecil with that immaculate 17 damage coming out, so not really going to be able to contribute. Edge and Sid, however, are going to be able to go and pull out damage. Edge casting Flame, doing some decent damage. Sid with a Poison Axe and the Zeus Gauntlet, doing 300 damage. That can definitely go, and that'll get you through this. Yeah, 448 damage. This spot only has 1,000 HP. Jenica is through this.
and just a moon veil, so no key item reward from this particular location. Now, this is where I've always seen a lot of route divergence, and I kind of question, where do I go myself after Antlion? Because this is easy. But from here, do you go and do you do like item shop checks? Do you go and immediately dive Fabble? Do you try to save that to make it a Fabble more of an efficient check for later and just go straight into something like Ordeals? With the party both these guys have with both Edge and Sid, maybe you're hoping even with that wonderful Golbez, maybe you can go ahead and do the Baron End right now. Who knows? I mean, there's interesting decisions to be made at this point in the race.
Yeah, if I was going to do that Golbez, I would be planning on killing off all except 2 of my characters so I could pick which 2 characters would go in, because Golbez will kill you down to 2 living party members, but you can choose if you pick the fight beforehand. But Jenica is choosing to do Fabul. This is definitely not a bad check. Going and fading Fabul until you get back from underground is a reasonable thing to do sometimes, because going and saving a trip to that Sylph Cave and Fabul can help. But when there's a chance of a magma key on the table, it could be a real loss to fade Fabul, go through the hook route when your opponent, oh, there's a magma key here. Well, I was worried for nothing, and then just skips on along to the underground while you're fighting tooth and nail to get down.
Meanwhile, Jenica does show us Dark Imps are our boss available, so it's not necessarily a free boss because they can hit kind of hard depending on the location that you're at. But otherwise, doing reasonably well does seem to rely on Edge to cast this flame spell to be able to do damage for everything. Haven't seen a whole lot of items to pick up either to be able to kill lots of things.
Yeah, Edge's Flame is definitely enough to carry you through the overworld, in my opinion. It's, doing a few hundred points of damage to all the enemies is going to be really helpful. And yeah, 2 casts, they're dead. Jenica's through this. Definitely not a bad strategy. bigdunka just behind. His Edge doing 800 damage a swing, taking out one of the Dark Imps, so not going to be a long fight. And just getting a white shirt. I believe there are supposed to be key items somewhere.
Has anyone seen the key items? We don't know where the key items are, guys. Guys, we forgot the key items.
Maybe we're gonna have to go through a key itemless overworld, go through that hook, get underground, get a darkness crystal, and then we can start finding key items on the moon and through chains that way.
My God, someone. So Pentastodon says plain white T-shirt reminds me of the plain white tees, and all of a sudden the only thing I can think of in my head is something like, "Hey there, Fusoya, what's it like on the moon now?" And it's just a horrible song that I have stuck in my head. I apologize, everyone who now has that stuck in their head.
You see, this is where ignorance is bliss, because I am terribly ignorant of a lot of music.
Plain white tees is phenomenal.
But Aurora's going and looting a bit of Fabul Castle, finding a bandana behind the throne room, which is pretty convenient. That gives +5 strength and vitality as a piece of head gear. So nice piece to have, but not a lot to do. We now just have either Ordeals, Baronin, or hunting for Threemus who can have a key item. And it looks like Jenica and bigdunka are heading south. Jenica flying over Silvera, where bigdunka is making a pit stop, and Jenica choosing to go up Ordeals, which is another key item spot. It has 3 bosses here, but with an Edge on their team, I'm thinking they're going to be able to take care of it without too much issue.
And Jenica really has more of an incentive to go up here. Oh, finds a Palom. Great Black Mage pickup there on Mount Ordeals. Jenica really has more of an incentive right now. Now, we do have a Tellah, so both these runners are probably going to end up doing Mount Ordeals anyway. But to get Cecil's online, you do have to really go up here to Mount Ordeals. So really kind of a no-brainer at this point to go ahead and do Mount Ordeals.
I agree. It's something with that level 25 starting Edge. Yeah, he's going to be able to go and pretty much solo this, so it's not going to be too bad. Definitely think this is the right play, because you want to get your Cecils online, you want to get your Tellahs online, you want to go and have everything ready for you. And it gives you some good experience for that new Palom you picked up, who he starts out with level 1 spells, and after his first level, he's got level 2 spells, and he's a lot better.
It's really just one boss fight. That's all it takes. Even doing Antlion Cave gets him one level to start that off. His bluff is fantastic as well. So let's see. To start off with, our first boss is going to be a lunar boss. We'll see which one Jenica shows us, and it is. Plague's not too bad for this party setup.
Now, Plague is going to be pretty reasonable. Both runners getting rid of the same character. Bigdunka, I'm a little surprised Bigdunka didn't get rid of his second Cecil after he got rid of the first, just because.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, yeah.
Having to play fair with agility can be rather dangerous. That said, there is a lot of interesting space of going and keeping a Cecil and just anchoring with him. It is hard to do because Paladin Cecil starts at 13 agility, which is quite high. He can use a Drain Sword or a Dwarf Axe to get him down to 8 agility, and a Curse Ring doing minus 15 to all of your agility is going to do just a lot of work on that front as well. So there's a number of interesting options here.
When Jenica takes a death, does not set things up to be able to life people up from this plague, so we'll have to take some time, like Lou set up. Oh, does lower the battle speed to make things a little bit easier. It's life's ready. It'll be interesting to see how Jenica handles this. Bigdunka is also diving right in.
Yeah, and that young Edge doing 800 points of damage with that Zeus Gauntlet. Good damage for swing, pretty quick. Yang doing 138 is kind of what I expected. Paladin with the Dancing Dagger is going to go and do a few hundred points of damage. This spot only has 2,000 to 3,000 HP, I believe, so it's not going to be too long to get through this. He might be able to go and burst through the DPS, especially because Edge is pretty fast and be able to get a number of turns.
All right, we'll see. Dunk is close. I'm a little bit nervous for Dunka. Oh, and he gets through.
And Jenica setting up a Starvel on Edge. Part of why she set her battle speed to 6, so that Edge didn't go and get the count on him. Instead, he reflected the count back onto Plague. Plague is now going to try and redo count and bring up all of just whenever he fails count or one of your characters does not have count, Plague is going to go and cast count again until you have count. If you have a Starvel up, you've got 50 turns of I've got wall. And meanwhile, we're finding Mylon-Z in his vanilla location. Aliceal, I believe I've mentioned to you in the past, you're supposed to randomize bosses in the locations, not leave some of them in their... Look, this is randomizer. We want to go and have random bosses. This doesn't feel very random right now.
That said, it's good for Dunka at this point in time because we're seeing Yang has his Fire Claw equipped, and Mylon-Z is kind of weak to fire. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, it turns out when you have a 4 times fire weakness, or 2 times fire weakness, your monk can go from doing 100 damage to 400 damage. And there's Mylon-Z down. Bigdunka having a bit of an edge now, just getting through these fights a little bit faster. I don't know if Jenicastrife reset their battle speed, which is a very easy thing to forget to do. I do it all the time, so that could go and slow down her fight a bit as well.
You said he has a bit of an edge. Edge.
I like to go and sneak some things in too. Let's see what we get from Ordeals. Is it a key item? Is it something else? I'm thinking it's going to be something else based on the other 2 spots we found.
Hey, a pan! Actually, that's not bad.
Oh, that's definitely a great key item. Pan is a quest item used to go and wake up Yang in Sylph Cave. It goes and means that in the vanilla game, when you go and get underground, you can find Yang, and he's just kind of there, unmoving, not really saying much. So you go back up to Fabul, speak to his wife. His wife will be relieved to know that he's safe and alive and give you a pan. And when you go back down to the Feymar, to the Sylph Cave and use the pan on Yang, he wakes up, mumbling that this is how he normally wakes up. He apparently has some very strict training, it seems. So that will go and get you the Sylph Gum in the vanilla game, Sylph Summon in the vanilla game, and when you return the pan to the Sheila, it will give you a very easy to miss item called the Spoon, which only Edge can dart and it has the maximum attack power of 255. In free enterprise, when the pan can be anywhere, you can go and use that to just do one trip down to the Sylph Cave. And that spoon we've augmented slightly.
That's putting it lightly. Augmented means that we've made it so that the least powerful person can equip the most powerful weapon in the game. Edward, our spoony bard, can in fact equip the spoon.
Yes, that's because we have the spoon flag on. Not on in all of all of the tournament flag sets, but for this stage, it's on. And when you find it, you really might want to go and keep that Edward around for something other than hide.
All right, so how comfortable are you right now with the levels that we have? We have, a few Cecils that are around here, everything that we have going on, but we're getting ready. I mean, do you do Golbez to go ahead and say, yeah, I want my Tellah?
I absolutely do Golbez. I have a firm policy of never leave an overworld spot uncleared on a hook seed just because it can be magma key. And if it's magma key, you save yourself so much time. Golbez cannot block the logical path underground. He is one of the characters who is guaranteed to not be allowed to block, or one of the bosses guaranteed not to block the path underground because he is quite difficult. It is Golbez, Belvalis, and Wyvern. All three are bosses who cannot go and block access to the underground because of how difficult they are, or what specific requirements they have in order to defeat. And Bornstorm pointing out, it's also an objective. Golbez isn't going to get that much faster. The second fight might, but again, that magma key would be weighing heavily on my mind.
Possible. And that probably, I'm right there with you. I would probably do it. I'm just, I'm trying to do the ESPN thing where we make conversation as we go, but.
Yep. No, it's definitely it's not unreasonable to fade spots. It's one of those things where you can go and take a risk of, I can likely wipe to the fight after this. If I get underground, I can get more powerful, and it'll be really unlikely for me to wipe to this fight. And I don't have to worry about dealing with the cutscene that is the first half of the Golbez fight.
Would you have started an encounter outside Baron so you can kill off a couple people to make this a little bit more manageable and predictable?
Absolutely. I would start a fight and I would kill off everyone except for Palom and Edge, to be entirely honest. And if Palom has Piggy, which I think he does, I would have him cast Piggy on Edge. Because there's another thing you can take advantage in this fight called the status priority. It shows its head most frequently when you're dealing with the Dr. Luge fight and you're trying to go and berserk your characters. And to cast poison on all your characters, you can no longer berserk them because they have the poison status and you can't get the berserk status. If you have the Piggy status, you can't get paralyzed. Bigdunka did win the 50-50 of Edge getting a turn and getting to attack. Spot has very low HP, so just needs to go and hit this. But he is going to the next fight with just one character, and it does punch rather hard. Ooh, Dark and Cecil.
It's a pain, man. I think he can survive this.
I think he's going to be able to do this. So yeah, 271 points of damage. So we're going to Cure 2 for safety. Edge is much faster than this spot, so with Fair Agility being in play, he's going to be able to get his turns much faster, and he just has to ride out one more Dark Wave. It has to not 300 damage. Getting a character up, but there's no experience here, so just kind of need to sit through this.
It's not horrible. No experience here, as you said, so it's just, hey, collect what you got. Probably gonna pick up this Tellah. I gotta imagine. I imagine he'll ditch Yang if I had to take a guess, unless he ditches the Cecil.
Ooh. That is one half of our objective number 1. When we find an adamant, we take it to the Cole Smith underground, and that will forge into an Excalibur. And not taking Cecil, or not taking Tellah.
I'm flabbergasted.
I find that really bold because Tellah with his full spell list does a lot of things. We do have access to hourglasses and sirens on this flag set, so Tellah is both very good for dealing with fights with certain niche strategies and niche spells and grinds due to needing Darkness Crystal and being able to do a D Machine grind. But if you don't want to deal with that, then I guess Big Dunk decided no, I'd rather go and keep a white mage, a black mage, and 3 fighters.
I mean, it's a bold move, Baka. Let's see if it plays out.
I agree. And also, Cecil he's still base level. Big Dunk is going into Antlion Castle. There are a lot of chests here, and there's also a lot of trap chests here, so the loot is a bit better thanks to our T-Wildish flag. And we find the Mad Ogres here.
Yeah, good items are available here in Antlion Castle. Also, great experience. You know, depending on what your experience setup is, you can get your Palom almost all the way online to be able to learn Quake all the way. You just have to be able to really get it to the point where he learns all the experience and survives is the problem. These Mad Ogres, for example, hit like trucks. Luckily, he does have a Cecil with a poison axe, which does, you know, decent damage.
It does do quadruple damage against Mad Ogres. It just has terrible accuracy, so it misses a lot and has highly variable damage. And we do see life potions coming out for the life glitch. When you go and throw a life potion on an enemy, it will revive the enemy, except you're not seeing them come back because life is a spell that, well, it gives you HP based on your vitality. It gives you 5 times your vitality stat of HP back up when you are revived. All enemies have 0 vitality, so they give, well, they just get 0 HP and die instantly again. But we still get credit, we still get the experience and money. Meanwhile, Jenicastrife has finished burning it, and Jenica is also choosing to forgo that Tellah.
I don't even know. What is this tournament anymore, Baka?
I feel...
What is this?
I feel there's a lot of disrespect for Tellah right now, and I am not here for it. Respect your old men. They're really good. One of the things... Go ahead.
Say, one of the things that we were talking about even beforehand, that Tellah kind of has had a glow up this particular tournament. I mean, he's the only one who learns weak super early to be able to do the D Machine grind. He sets you up. He is your caster that can do a whole lot of things. He's your J item caster, I think is what we talked about earlier. He can do so much early that not a lot of people can do, and can set you up really well and can bypass a lot of your other grinds that are available. Now, both of these runners now, foregoing Tellah, are really hoping at this point that Sirens are going to be available somewhere to be able to avoid a D Machine grind. If not, they're both going to be hurting, I think.
They do have the option of using Edge to steal Sirens. That is a recent change to the 4.0 version of Free Enterprise, where Boardface restored the J drop tables, which goes and brings back all the J items that we were added back into the game are also in the drop tables now, where Edge always steals the common drop from an enemy, and some enemies have Sirens as a common drop, so you can go and steal Sirens from alerts in the lower Babel trap chest. That said,
those are most common, yeah, but still, I mean, it's not as fast, right?
No, it is definitely not a speedy process. It is something you much rather find them in shops. It might be faster than doing a D Machine. Did Big Dunk just get a crystal sword?
Yes, he did, and he got another white shirt too, just because.
Well, this is something where Big Dunk is not being punished for going. I think Big Dunk is going to feel a little bad about not having second Cecil right now.
I mean, if you get an Excalibur, then yes. But still, I'm not too terribly... I mean, Crystal Sword Cecil does a ton of damage. And absolutely a ton. Now, worth pointing out, he does have the Crystal Armor equipped, which does have a downside in the fact that Crystal Armor actually prevents the Berserk status, which means won't be able to Zerk that Cecil unless he can get an Avenger on him at that point in time. But that is one of the downsides of that particular most powerful armor in the game outside Adamant.
Yeah, it's actually kind of annoying, to be entirely honest, where you can't go and hey, he's got great defense, but you can't berserk him. And he's got these great weapons, but you still can't berserk him. Wouldn't you rather just go and have him keep hitting things? No, 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 really? Ow. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people refer to as money armor because we just simply sell it for a truckload of money. And yeah, Cecil does have a Crystal Sword Seal. And let's be honest, Cecil is now the star of this team. Edge is great. Edge is, higher level. Crystal Sword Cecil is going to be out damaging him every front because, fun fact, the third strongest weapon in the game is a Weight Spear with an attack power of 106. The second strongest weapon in the game is the Excalibur with an attack power of 160. The strongest weapon in the game is the Crystal Sword with a attack power of 200, and it gives plus 15 strength, vitality, and willpower. Every 8 strength gives you an attack multiplier, so this gets bingo bango bonkers really quickly.
Meanwhile, Jenica is showing us that we have our second edge available in his vanilla location in the Eblin Cave. So we have a double-edged party.
Well, it seemed like it was a double-edged character to pick up because Jenica chose to forgo them. Well, if we're talking about double-edged things, Edge can use 2 weapons. That means he also requires 2 weapons, and if he can't go and find all that fine Hanzo steel, well, the second one is going to get edged out in favor of other characters.
No, true. And that is one of the downsides. Edge is great early game to be able to, I mean, you said it yourself, he can effectively solo Mount Ordeals or even the Baron Inn. But when it comes down to it in later games, he does require some more weapons to really turn online. And that's the problem. His short swords are, You can buy ninja swords, but man, they're 60k a pop. They really put a dent into things unless you're opening a ton of chests. Finding the other weapons can really, and you have to double the weapons. So you have to have one for each offhand. And then you times that by 2, it can get a little bit overwhelming having 2 edges.
Agreed. You can go and find long swords in shops. They will only cost 1,100 gold, which is 2,200 is a pretty manageable price for 2 endgame weapons, and he'll do good damage. Double Ninja Sword will go and do really good damage. Still not going to approach Crystal Sword Cecil damage, but it's still going to go and be pretty handy. We do see Jenicastrife fighting the 4 Mad Ogre chest in Upper Babel. Did not get the life glitch off on the back one, which is unfortunate. And I believe they... Okay, yes. The ogres are not taking turns. It looks like they go and have an Hourglass off on them. Hourglass is cast Stop on all the enemies and prevents them from going and doing anything. But getting 2 life glitches off, that is going to be very helpful. That's going to go and get a good infusion experience for the team.
So the question we have now, bigdunka is diving his way through. He is opening more chests. That crystal sword was in the out of the way location in the Eblin Castle. Meanwhile, Jenica does have 2 Cecils, no crystal sword. How big of a difference is that crystal sword going to be as this race continues on? We're just at the 31-minute mark. Is it going to make that big of a difference?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. Bigdunka's going to go and have higher DPS, but because he only has 1 Cecil, he is chained to that Cecil to go and be his anchor, and that means he's going to go and have less options to go and have better turn efficiency. Meanwhile, Jenica has the 2 Cecils and is keeping 1 dead, so she's going to go and be in a situation where she can get better turn efficiencies thanks to better agility anchoring, but is not going to be able to go and do as much damage per hit. And Callum is only at level 21. He has Virus at this point, but he does not have Quake, which he learns at level 23.
Worth also pointing out that we did find a blue robe that was Rubicant that we found when we were doing that kind of cutscene with Edge in the first part of the Underground. We don't know if that blue robe is going to be either a very, very free water hag or a not nearly so free alt gauntlet at that location, which it could be either. Oh,
Yeah, we both you can only tell the difference between Water Hag and Blue Robe and Alt Gauntlet if you see multiple sprites in a spot. If there's only one sprite per a spot, then you only go and see the Blue Robe, and it's a coin toss between whether or not it's the short fight or the extra long fight. But finding Dr. Luge, not a bad fight to find here. He's not going to be terribly rude. He isn't going to have a lot of HP, and he's not going to be able to go and really stymie our runners because this spot only has 6,000 HP, and Dr. Luge's HP is split between 4 different characters. So, just going to take a little bit of damage to mop up these 2 fights here.
noting that Dr. Luge and Balnab are actually weak to lightning, so he has his Palom, while not with Quake, able to cast still a quite powerful Lit 2, which is beneficial.
Yeah, they're also the Thunderclaw does bonus damage to them because Balnab and the second form of Dr. Luge count as machines, and Thunderclaws do extra damage to machine-type enemies, which is a very handy thing to have. Here we're going to go and see Big Dunka finishing up that meta chest. Also finding the Glass Hat. Glass Hat is a very high defense piece of equipment, which you can throw on Cecil, and Cecil's cover ability remains incredibly good, as if you have a team of small squishy mages, you can put Cecil in the back row, and she'll cover the small squishy mages when they're low on HP, or if you just simply go and ask him to. But this is Jenka's through that Dr. Luge fight, and we're now getting to that Blue Robe. Is it the time for the moment of truth? Is it Water Hag, or is it to be found out later, as Jenica is choosing to save first?
Safety save. I have to respect that. You know, when you don't know and you're a little bit concerned, might as well safety save just to get through it. Duncan's going to start his Luge fight immediately.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this. Going and putting Quorum in the top spot. So the party order starts at the center, top, bottom, middle top, and middle bottom slots in that order. But depending on your agility, that can go and choose where turns are. But if in the event of a tie, it goes through that. Interesting that Jenica is choosing to go and set up in that order. It looks like they're preparing to just berserk with one of their characters to get Quorum going first, rather than trying to freak down if it's Alt Gauntlet. It's Alt Gauntlet.
I mean, egg is not the worst thing to have to start off with. Like, oh, that's what's happening. And immediately trying to kill off the character. Hey, that was a nice hit from Lamia. Oh, this is a fast spot for the Alt Gauntlet too, though.
Well, Alt Gauntlet isn't going to go and get any stats for this. It's just literally random encounters. So the spot has... The only thing the spot determines is which encounters get pulled. And this is going to pull a bunch of upper Babel enemies. So, not going to be too bad, kind of. I think we're going to see a number of eggs, and the stop spell can go and work on them. There is a character I'd really like to go and have here, and that's Tellah, because, hey, status spells do a lot of good things.
You know what else would be absolutely fantastic at this point in time?
Quake. Yeah, Quake is a pretty good answer to, how do I go and deal with these enemies? Are they dead? Quake makes them dead. That's a good way to deal with a bunch of enemies. Yeah, and these Blade Men only having a few hundred, like 1,000 HP. Countering with virus is annoying. That's going to go and just drain damage as Big Dunka tries to get through this. And Quake is 30 MP to go and probably kill everything on the screen.
So the question for both these runners, do you think they're both kicking themselves for not having Tellah right about this point in time?
I think one of them is kicking them a bit more for not having Quake, though Palom on Big Dunka's team has Quake. Also, Big Dunka has Crystal Sword Cecil, who is going to laugh, and Cecil laughs in absurd amounts of damage to every fight, so might not be too concerned about his choices.
Laughs and Crystal Sword. That tracks for this tournament.
But Jenika's on the third fight, while Big Dunka's on the second fight. Not pretty sure Big Dunk is going to be able to go and get through this a lot faster just because his fights are going to be a lot more, shall we say, damage heavy. Oh, and Blade Men are apparently weak to holy damage. They might be spirits.
Oh. They're spirits. Thank you, Gurmensch, with the raiding party of 50. Welcome, everyone here. We do have the Crystal Sword Cecil was in Eblin Castle, which Jenicastrife bypassed in the bid. Bigdunka has done considerably more looting through this particular run at this point in time. Otherwise, they are neck and neck in the same boss fight, the Alt Gauntlet, through the hook route into the underground, but we're neck and neck otherwise.
Yep, and Jenica is getting through these fights quicker because going through this, her Palom learned Quake and is going to go and just start taking out this. I believe Jenica is now in the last fight. It's an egg. This is probably gonna be a green dragon, isn't it? Hey, it's as if I know what we're gonna go and I know the encounters of these, and the green dragon is a really rude thing to find because it has quite a lot of HP and does thunder, and is kind of pitiful in the experience it gives. $4,800, but that is Jenica through the Alt Gauntlet at just under 40 minutes, while Bigdunka is only 2 plates behind. Bigdunka has the edge in the form of the Crystal Sword and a bit more levels. Jenica has the edge in just getting through these spots faster. We'll see how this turns out.
Okay, it looks like it's the Magus Sisters that is going to be at the top of the tower. We've got almost no key items here. I imagine bonking Yang in Silk Cave pretty early is going to be on the agenda, but I don't know. If I were these runners, we already ditched to Tellah. I am super nervous about my grind. I'm going to be checking the item shops first thing if I'm these runners, just to see if I have sirens or if I'm going to have to go farm them up. What would you be doing here first thing, Baka?
I would probably go and bonk Yang. It's something that's going to go and give me 3 key item checks, and if I want to watch a Fey March, I'm going to be taking damage anyways. I would rather go and do that and then do a little backwards loop around the underground and end on Dwarf Castle, where there's that healing pot that you can go and just full recover your characters and go into doing Dwarf Castle.
Hallelujah! We have sirens available in the Tomra shop. So ditching that Tellah, it may have cost a little bit more time getting through the underground, but might end up being beneficial in the long run.
I agree, and just having lots of things you can sell is going to go and give you all the money you need to finance those sirens, not to mention Cure 2s and Silk Webs. Both are incredibly helpful items. You want at least 1 Silk Web, as that casts the maximum applications of Slow, which is 2 cast, and that is incredibly helpful on Zeromus, especially if you have to deal with any form of fair agility. Meanwhile, we do see Bigdunka choosing to just go straight down, hit the pan, get his key item. He might be going and doing the loop I said, where hit Yang, go to Fey March, just eat all the damage tiles, see what's down there, and get free items, so you know where you're going to be going next.
Meanwhile, we have our job check. It is a student financial aid administrator. Hardworking folk.
I'm glad to see that they are going and making sure that all the dwarves have access to good education, finding strength rings, and spiciest thing I saw in that weapon shop, drain spears. Awful weapon. Never want to use one.
Straws. Ew.
Idiot attack power, 22 accuracy, -10 to every stat. Edge can chuck them like a champion and not care about the downsides. They do great damage when he throws them.
Duncan, meanwhile, finds a white spear available. He is continuing with his strategy of, both Bigdunka and I think, got our starts, or at least come from the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randomizer, where opening chests as efficiently as possible was encouraged. So we both like to open a whole lot of chests, and he is doing all the chest openings right now. He's He's just going to town. Typically, I've been trying to limit myself to around 50 treasure chests a race just because that otherwise seems excessive, but he doesn't care. He's just going to town, opening everything.
That's if you want to outfit that edge, you do need to go and find stuff, and there is wisdom in just saying, all right, I have a crystal sword, I have a Cecil, I don't need any other melee characters. But without Big Dunka having a second Cecil and relying on Porum as a healer, you're going to be taking a lot of levels on your team anyways. You might as well try and see if you can make your edge a good character. And meanwhile, Jenicastrife is going to the Dwarf Castle, has their second Cecil down on the floor going and taking a nap, but
wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to impose, but we also found a ribbon just kind of casually sitting in the Feymarch area.
Definitely a helpful piece of gear. That goes in blocks instant death, which useful against Golbez, doesn't block count, but can also be used against Evil Wall with Crush. So I think otherwise they're out of instant death moves, and the other thing that it can give is the resistances to a number of other status effects. Big Dunka sold a white shirt. Big Dunka does not want to go and have defense. Big Dunka wants offense.
Jenica, meanwhile, went ahead is doing Dwarf Castle. I'm a little concerned. Does not have Warp on her Palom yet. I think if Palom lives through this, we'll have enough levels to do it. If it lives...
It does take 100,000 experience. These two spots will give 50,000. She might have gotten close to another 50,000 between clearing a fair amount of the overworld, that Mad Ogre's chest, and the alt gauntlet. But it is going to be close, and that is something that I'm a fan of. Jenica found sirens. Take 1 or 2 sirens, go off, crack a couple eggs, bank an easy 60,000 experience, and make sure, because you do not want to go and skip the warp glitch, I think.
Absolutely not. That is something that you have to do in this particular tournament. Although, complete the sealed cave is kind of one of our required objectives.
It is. Or if you find the tower key, you know it's not going to be in the super cannon room, but it might be on top of tower. You're going to go and get information from that warp glitch to let you locate that Luca key is what I would be thinking.
Right,
Palom does just barely ekes it out. Level 29 is exactly when Palom learns warp.
There's our adamant. Okay, now.
Now it's a hunt for the darkness for Jenica.
Yeah, who cares about Luca Key at this point? I don't care.
Yeah. Luca Key is going to be a lot harder to go and nail down because it can go and be anywhere. That adamant isn't gaining anything specifically, so that's a play. Jenica now also has an Excalibur, which Big Dunk is not going to care about because he's already got a Crystal Sword. Jenica doesn't have a good weapon for her Cecil, and she's got the advantage of double Cecil, so she is more likely to be able to go and turn that top Cecil into a just absolute buzzsaw of destruction.
Meanwhile, we do see Dunka going ahead and getting a bit of a grind. He picked up some sirens, and he also has some coffins, so he's like, okay, let's get a few levels. I think he's going to get his Palom up to the point where he knows Warp and just learned it, so it'll be a little bit easier of a time. Won't have to sweat it out quite like Jenica did. We'll want to get the HP refill, of course, but then we'll be kind of on the same path that Jenica is, but Jenica's got a nice little straight line lead. And frankly speaking, Excalibur one Cecil versus Crystal Sword other Cecil, the lead, the damage lead that Dunka has is kind of narrowing because he's at this point in time, Jenica's doing pretty darn well in terms of keeping the lead, keeping the edge, and in the straight line race. Now it's just a race to the darkness crystal, and I'm not convinced that Duncan will be able to catch up necessarily.
Yeah, Jenica also has the distinct advantage of, I've talked about this previously about relative agility and whatnot. Basically, when you're anchor, they'll get every 5 ATB ticks, they get 1 action. If you change their agility somewhat, then other characters can go and be faster, but they're always going to be the same 5 ATB ticks per action. His Big Dunko Cecil is going to always need 5 ATB ticks to go and take a swing. Jenica can set it up so that her middle Cecil is really slow and her top Cecil is more than 2.5 times faster than that Anchor Cecil, and it can be up to the point where they hit the maximum speed of 1 action per ATB tick. And when you berserk a character like that, every ATB tick they're attacking.
That was a loaded, absolutely stacked shop in the Coco shop. I saw Stardust Rods, I saw Murasame, I saw Zeus Gauntlets available. That was one of the more impressive Coco shops that I've seen, and Coco is always stacked.
That is a really nice shop, and let's be honest, when you go and have a lot of money like Big Dunka's probably going to have, you can afford all that stuff. Big Dunka might be able to go and pick up more power there, but the question is going to be, does he need it? He already has a lot, and Jenica is saving time by skipping chests that Big Dunka hit. Like, Big Dunka went and had to reset and rewalk through this frame march. Jenicastrife, I think, is going to be able to avoid that because she is checking no chest. She's just going. She's got Excalibur Cecil. She just wants to find her key items, and then go and... That Darkness Crystal, she knows is going to be on Earth. It's going to be somewhere, and she just wants to probably find that, get go mode, and go to the moon, I think.
Absolutely. We did see Big Dunka ended up checking up the 2 fights there for King and Queen of the Feymarch, and oh my, they were rough fights. I think I saw both of Vavalis and what's his snake-armed dude?
Bigen.
That's right.
Yeah, those are fights that if you have to take them, they're awful. You don't want to take either of those fights.
Vavalis with Darkness Crystal, calling it right now.
Who do you think has the better time doing that? I think... Alright, so this is going to be me going on a bit of a combo-tastic rant. You can guarantee to get yourself through that with an Aegis Shield, Bacchus Wine, and a Moonbow. Because both of our runners have Cecil, both of them can go and use Excalibur, they're very high accuracy, very high damage weapons. You just simply go, equip the Aegis Shield. Go ahead.
Okay, can you still cast Warp after getting the item? Okay, I think you can.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you had to use it before you got that second item. I was really panicked for Badunka there for a second.
Nope, that is something I do all the time, because after I go and pick up the item from here, you can exit out. That's actually my preferred way. Pick up the dwarf item, warp to the room that's actually attached to the sealed cave, pick up the item, cast exit, you leave Dwarf Castle. Saves you a bit of time walking. It's you can also, if you leave the room, you can just keep casting warp, I think, and that should be sending you back through rooms. Warp basically de-increments the floor you're on by 1, and there are some doors where it does different things, where sending you back a floor can send you further into the dungeon if you went in and out of doors, while other places like Sealed Cave, just casting warp sends you back more and more. And Big Dunka, finding hourglasses and just buying a bunch of them, has a lot of stuff. Meanwhile, we have Jenica going and popping some sirens, casting Berserk on her Cecil. Berserk gives an extra 50% damage, is going to go and do a lot of damage. But getting a few levels on her team, I wonder if she's thinking that all right, this is going to be my final team. I just want to go and get some levels so that wherever I find darkness, I don't have to come back underground. I can just go straight to the moon and take fights there. Or if she wants to go and take some of those Fame Arch fights.
No, I am. Our tracker, Boren Soren, is pointing out, surprised to see a grind without doing the pan checks. I am too. Simply because, you know, I don't think we're going to get to 10 key items in this particular race, just how everything is set up. Because right now it's a race to the darkness crystal at this point in time, and we're nowhere close. We're sitting at 5 key items, 6 if you're Big Dunka right now. Probably see 10 key items, but still, the more efficient check would be go up to the moon and be able to do the King Ryu grind at this point in time. I don't know. It feels very weird right now in where we're at in the race because it's just a race to key items. Do your key item checks, just get your key items, and then worry about the grind, guys.
Yeah, I think Jenica might be thinking if we get a Baron key, I'm going to want to go and have some levels to do that. If I have to go tower, levels will make this a bit faster. I can understand it, but I agree. It is a situation of go and grab your key items, see if you get some stuff. Because the lowest key items we're going to go and have is 8 at this point. 1 key item from one of the Sheila checks brings you up to 9. Getting to, like, if you have to go through a Baron key and you have something like a Rat Tail or get a Rat Tail into darkness, you can kind of easily go and get up to 10 key items after you do those checks, and that double experience really does go and turn on a lot of just speeds you up so much.
It's true, absolutely. All right, so we see Jenica now setting up, going to be doing the Sheila checks right now. Looks like Dunka is going to be right behind her at this point in time, and this has just been a fantastic race. A little bit different styles, but otherwise it's been kind of a linear race at this point in time, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's been a lot of clear the overworld, get funneled into the hook route. Big Duncan went and did more looting, got more powerful, cleared stuff faster, but Jenica just didn't spend the time looting and has been going and getting through stuff pretty well. Gets the second Excalibur, which might be tempting because she does have 2 Cecils, and gets the Darkness Crystal. We are in go mode. Jenica is a slight lead with Big Dunker right behind. Both of them are going to be gaining go mode. Both of them are going to be now grind. You're only having 8 key items. Find a way to be able to beat Zeromus, and let's go.
This is not an easy grind, no matter how you set it up, because your white mage right now is Porum. And sorry to say, Porum, and we talked about this pre-race, Porum is kind of statistically one of the worst white mages. She doesn't learn Cure 4 until very, very late. Her HP curve is just abysmal. I don't know. Maybe I go to the moon and hope for a Rosa so I can level her up, honestly.
That is not a bad choice. Going and checking that. The difference between Rosa and Porum is massive. Rosa learns Cure 4 at around level 45. Porum learns Cure 4 at level 48. Might sound like just 3 levels, but those 3 levels is hundreds of thousands of experience. Not to mention, Rosa is has much better HP growth, so she's going to go and be hitting 2,000 HP or 2,200 HP at a far more reasonable time than Porum is. Porum is going to struggle to get to 2,000 HP. She's probably going to be around 1,500 or 1,700 HP. That is a terrifying position to be in the Zeromus fight, because Zeromus, the main attack you have to keep an eye out for is Big Bang. Big Bang has damage rolls that max out at either 2,400 or 2,700 that it alternates depending on where you are in the fight. Porum's scary. Porum's hard to use.
Absolutely. And I think Dr. Cossack put it best in chat. He says, Dunka's got more DPS potential, but Jen can control it better. Because Jen is set up to where she's got a dead Cecil, a really nice agility anchor set up, to where once Jen gets to Zeromus, we'll be able to control the fight from start to finish much, much easier. Has an Excalibur, so not quite as good a damage, but still nothing to snuff at in terms of what kind of DPS your Cecil can push through. Don't have better damage, but it won't be able to control it quite as well.
Dunka's be able to do more damage per hit. Jenica is going to be able to do more damage compared to Zeromus' turn because I think Jenica is going around is going to armor shops exclusively. Jenica is looking for a cursed ring. Cursed ring does minus 15 to every stat. You throw that on your Cecil who's been napping the entire seed, he is going to go and be at 1 agility. To go and hit that magical relative agility 1, you only need to have 3 agility in order to go and outspeed that. And it is Iridia on the moon, so no Rosa is available to our runners. They're going to have to get through with Porum. And I think bigdunka is going to be the harder spot than Jenica because, again, as I said, bigdunka's hits are going to be harder. Jenica is going to be able to go and leverage her team to hit Zeromus as often as Zeromus acts because she can make everyone relative agility 1 if she gets a cursed ring. If she doesn't, she's going to need a dwarf axe and keep that Cecil dead, throw it on him, get him down to 8 agility, and then you just have to be at 21 agility or higher to go and be relative agility 1. That only really matters for your berserkers, and that's also pretty easy to achieve.
The other thing that we were talking about, and this is, oh my goodness, this is just setting up to be kind of a great little microcosm. We're at sub 1 hour go mode. Now, this is one of those setups where we thought we might have a pretty quick go mode with this particular quest setup to be able to go through. This is where you as a runner, like your heart is pounding, the stress is on, you're like, if I'm in go mode this early, my opponent is also in go mode this early, I can't make a mistake. But you can't waste too much time grinding either. And with that low Porum at this point in time, this is the point where mistakes happen. And this is where mistakes will cost you the most amount of time as well. So this is really, really interesting right now to see. Dunka is going right in. I think he's going to save and then finish his grind up here on the moon. Meanwhile, Jenica is trying to set herself up a little bit better. It's just absolutely fantastic what these two runners are doing. The difference in styles, despite it being a very kind of straightforward seed.
I agree. This is something that's going to be very exciting. bigdunka is going and checking the key item spots around here to see if there's a quick fight or if there's key items. He finds Kanizer and resets. I think he's trying to see if he can steal a couple key items to get up to 10. Nope. Okay, he's going straight out to do his grind. The spot he checked has a base experience of 100,000. The grind fight he's going to do has an experience of 90,000 after a life glitch. Equal experience, and if he can get a free fight there, I can definitely see him saying, yeah, let me take this and maybe I can pull something great out of this.
Set up with some hourglasses, which is going to be fantastic. Otherwise, this is going to be really interesting. I'm really curious to see how far Dunka takes it. Does he take his Porum up to 2k health to be able to survive some nukes? I got a white shirt, got a ribbon, probably able to survive quite a bit of magic damage there from that big bang, but that's the calculation you have to make, and you're not ever quite sure how far to take it.
I agree. The thing with Porum is magic evade is going to be the main way she stays alive, where, as I talked about that 2400 2700 number, that happens because of things we call damage rolls, where depending on your spell power, you get another roll where you can go and do anywhere between like 1 to 400 damage, or 1 to 300 damage on a big bang. When you have magic evade, you just negate one of those rolls, and that's how you see characters sometimes taking 2,000 damage from a big bang and sometimes taking 1,200. They went and dodged 2 or 3 rolls, or it was a low roll or something, and they just really managed to avoid taking damage. That is a big source of Porum survivability. White shirt adds a fair bit. Ribbon helps, but the raw HP is definitely going to be the preferred way. So that 2,000 HP is a real important number to hit. Meanwhile, we're seeing... So, Jenica is going and doing eggs. bigdunka is doing gold dragons. Gold dragons give the bigger number for experience. Eggs are faster. Here's Jenica. She starts, she swings. She's not always one-shotting the dragons, which is definitely causing her issues. But bigdunka is also having to go start the fight, throw an hourglass, get beaten down a bit, revive his characters, throw a berserk, and then start going out. His fights are taking longer. Jenica is able to go and get a number of fights in the same time that bigdunka is getting one, so you can our runners can be pretty even on experience. Big Dunk might have the advantage in the form of he's already down in the lunar core. He's only steps away from Zeromus, while Jenica is going to have to walk the moon after she's done with the grind. But Jenica might be able to finish her grind first.
I don't think, no matter how we set it up, though, a bad Big Bang will eat alive either of our healers. So we really have to be careful how we set everything up going forward for both of these particular runners. Folks in chat, you've tuned into a good one. This is going to come down to the wire. It's not going to be free for either of these folks.
I agree. I think something that might come up is, here's my guess. The runners are going to stop at level 52 for Palom and Forum, because that's when they learn White and Nuke. And those are big DPS spells. If you go and berserk your fighters and go and throw a Star Veil on someone, you can reflect spells to bypass counters and lay in just a ton of damage. That is a good way to go and get through the Zeromus fight, because the first Big Bang is easy to nerf. If you go and trick Zeromus into casting a counter nuke on you, he'll go and lower his magic power, because the game likes to be a little fair and not just completely destroy you with certain spells. And that will go and make the Big Bang do less damage. After the first Big Bang, you have to have much more precise timing. But with Big Dunka, he's also going to want to go and slow down Zeromus, because he's going to be playing fair agility while Jenica is not. I think we're going to go and see damage race fights, because another factor of Zeromus is he has this thing called the HP refill, where he has technically about 100,000 HP, but he can't actually have 100,000 HP because of Super Nintendo character or number limits. So he has 61,000 HP, but after you do 42,000 damage, he refills his HP to maximum. So he has his over 100,000 HP that way. When you go and trigger that refill, it's a counterattack, and it goes and resets Zeromus' script. So he'll go and reset the time it takes him to cast his next Big Bang. That will go and give Jenica some time to just lay on damage and try and just burn Zeromus down faster than Zeromus can go and get Big Bangs off.
That always struck me as interesting. It's like, hey, if you want to bypass any sort of counter mechanic, just reflect. Just make it easy on yourself.
That's something they catch in the PSP version and take out, because you have to go and do all the fights fairly that way. So when the PSP version gives you the option of changing your party and manipulating Shadow Party experience, you end up with a team of, Ed, with Young, with Sid, with Kane. Ooh, and Big Dunk is going to go and be in an awkward situation, because he wants to kill off his Cecil to be at a very specific agility value. He wants to go and keep Cecil at around 28 agility, because that's the threshold that takes Zeromus from relative agility 1 to relative agility 2. Any higher than that, then his characters are going to be gaining lower in the relative agility, while Zeromus is going to be staying 2 until he gets up to 42 agility, which Big Dunk is not going to go and get Cecil up to 42 agility, I'm sorry.
It's just a race through the grind at this point for both of our runners. Doing fantastic through things right at the moment. I do get the sense that, oh my gosh, it's close.
Jenica is higher on experience, I think, based on Palom's HP, from can see. Also, Palom on Big Dunka's side is out of experience, so this is going to go and take all his mages are out of MP, excuse me. So this is going to take a bit longer for Big Dunka, as he's going to have to go and keep entering command. He's going to use a Bacchus wine. This is probably not what he wants, because he wants to have those for the Zeromus fight, but he doesn't want to spend the extra time on the grind fight, and he needs to go get through these fights quickly. Yeah, I'm seeing that Palom on Jenica's strike side is level 49. She is 3 levels away from White. I expect Palom is in a similar situation. Edge doesn't quite go in one shot, so getting hatches, that's taking a bit of extra time. Callum gets to go and is going to cast a or a virus to finish it off. A little low on HP, so might go and change how they're approaching this. But this is our runners are both trying to go and finish these fights as quickly as possible, and are having a bit of a hard time doing it just because of their setups.
How nervous are you for if you're either of these runners right now? Just bring
Oh,
the mindset of a runner right now, where your go mode sub hour, you know that it was an easy go mode, and you don't see a dot done yet from your opponent. How sweaty are you?
oh, my experience is whenever I get go mode, from the time I get go mode until I have killed Zeromus and entered my dot done, my heart is pounding. The only time it stops pounding is when my dot done or my opponent's dot done hits. It is just a non-stop heart beating action. And we see that Jenica is lifting off and is getting ready to go somewhere. I don't know if they're going to go to the moon with these levels and choose to forgo Nuke, or if they're going to go and do something else. But Jenica is lifting off and is getting ready to go.
This might be where I was talking about earlier, where if you feel no, gonna go somewhere else. Okay, I thought, hey, if you feel like you gotta go, sometimes you just gotta go. If you're worried about it, but gonna be doing some more of that shopping.
Jenica doesn't have a. Does Jenica think she has a pass and is setting up to go into Zeromus with what she has? Because I do not see a pass in her inventory. She is organizing her inventory as if she has a pass.
Yeah, I see that too, which is not where you want to be. Also does a slowdown on the fight. Yeah, that seems to be, might be doing a last check for any sort of agility reducing stuff.
Yeah, if she could, something you can go and do on these group flags is on the any weapon shop you need to find dwarf axes or drain swords. That will go, and yeah, Jenica just got the bad news. You don't have a pass. And to complete my thought, you can find dwarf axes or drain swords, which will give -5 agility. Cecil can wear both of them, and they're an agility manipulation tool. So yeah, Jenica's getting the news that she has to go up to the moon. I don't know if she's going to be going and checking the. Yeah, she's going to Mysidia. I don't know if she's going to check Mysidia weapon shop because she's at this area. Nope, she's going in. She's going to go up. She's going to take her party as it is. So, Jenica is getting ready. She does not have Nuke and White on Porum and Palom. She is 2 levels shy. Bigdunka looks to be grinding up to that point. And that could go and be the difference.
If Jenica can get through with some well-timed nerfs of the Big Bang, then I think this is the right move for Jenica. Doesn't necessarily, I mean, as long as you have Cure 4, I think you're fine. Just have to be able to consistently nerf that Big Bang. With a couple mages, it's doable. It'll take a little bit more skill, though. Bigdunka, meanwhile, is setting up just to be able to just kind of let loose.
Bigdunka is setting up to just simply go and completely decimate Zeromus. Even at fair agility, this is going to go and be a rough fight for Zeromus. And Jenica is finding that Rydia not getting punished for going and grinding without checking this character because it's not Rosa. Rosa, I think, is the only character you would go and pick to add to your team.
Absolutely. All right, so Jenica is going to start her descent into the moon. I gotta imagine she's done with her grind at this point. Otherwise, she would have kept with the eggs. Bigdunka, we'll see how far he takes this grind. Is he going to grind Palom and Porum up all the way to be safe from unnerfed Big Bangs? That's still a few more levels at this point.
Yeah, Porum, I believe, is level 56, where she's kind of safe from Big Bangs, and I know this because that's also when she has 28 agility. You don't really want to grind Porum up to level 56. But I think that was Bigdunka's last Siren, so he is going to the save point and is going to be going. He is going to be the first runner in this Zeromus fight, I think, as Jenica is still walking down the lunar subterranean.
Oh, it's still close. You cannot, I mean, even with the levels and everything that Bigdunka has, you do have to be careful because a real strong Big Bang will still take Porum out. You have to be able to leave some folks up to be able to bring her back to life in case of a bad Big Bang. Jenica is on the way as well. This is still anyone's race, even though Big Dunka has probably a 2 or 3 room lead at this point. This is what the tournament is all about, coming down to a photo finish here at the very end.
I agree, and I don't know if Big Dunka has a Silk Web. Maybe he has one, but if he doesn't, he is in for a harsh Z fight. And hey, why is chat going and throwing out these Z flags?
Z flags? What is that? Oh, I think there's a question that I think we get asked every now and then.
True. We don't go and actually bring Zeromus into the boss pool because, well, he's the final boss for a reason. He's kind of mean. He's really complicated, as I was spending the time explaining. So you don't want to go and throw him in anywhere. And he's really intimidating, so we have to go and keep him at the end. It would also annoy the Lunarians if we let him out of his prison. So instead, we decide that as a randomizer, we can't just leave him completely untouched. We need to give him a makeover. So with your Z flags out in chat, let's find out whose butt we're kicking tonight.
Big shout out to the wonderful community. It's one of the couple things that we randomize as a special treat for all of you guys. Zeromus's final form is randomized and curated by our wonderful community team. Once we use the crystal, his true colors are emerged, and drum roll.
Yes, which of the 450 sprites are we going to get?
Threemus.
Oh man, that's I remember that when I was on. I mean, I remember that for a lot of things, and dial-up was a big time you saw that because you just can't load this image. Also, that is one speed of Zeromus. That Zeromus went and was shaking very quickly. Nuke coming out on Palom. This Big Bang's gonna be nerfed, but almost knocks out Palom, but Porum goes and gets a Cure 4 off, brings him up before the Big Bang comes off. Meanwhile, Jenica is getting ready to start their fight and throwing the crystal. I think Jenica is going to be starting off with their own Silk Web as well.
This is a very, very fast Zeromus on Big Dunka's side. Even he did get a Silk Web off. I'm going to be chucking an Excalibur right at the moment. But still. Whew.
Yeah, this is Big Dunka is going to go mean for a harsh fight. Jenica is also going to be in for a bit of a mean fight as well. Gets their Silk Web off. Going to go make Zeromus Relative Agility 2. Edging the counter nuke is down to 600 HP. We're in for some scary times. We see the reflected nuke coming out on Big Dunka's side, going to do a truckload of damage, 9,000 damage. That's numbers you like to see. Another shake. We're going to have another Big Bang coming out on Big Dunka's side very shortly. Ooh. Edge is probably going to be going down on Jenica's side. Yep, there he goes. So going to need to revive, but Excalibur Cecil is swinging. Big Dunka is taking his second Big Bang. I don't see a nerf coming out, so this is going to be full powered. And Porum only takes 1,300. Always a good sign. She lives. She's going to be at good HP, and this Cure 4 is probably going to go and get the team up to healthy levels. Cecil is at 28 agility. He was killed off at level 44, which is when Cecil naturally has 28 agility.
Oh no. We have, 450 damage. I thought Porum taking a nuke to the face would hurt a little bit more, but that white shirt is doing work.
Yeah. The magic evade formula in this game is that every 32 agility and every 32 combined wisdom and willpower gives you one magic evade roll, and then your gear will go and determine what your magic evade percent is. And sometimes it can be a really high number, sometimes it can be a really low number, like we just saw with that Porum. She took a Big Bang only for 1,400 damage, but she's down to 100 health, getting a Cure 4 out on the team, and healing everyone back up to full. This is going to be a scary fight for her. Black Hole's coming out, going to go and drop the Berserks for the teams. gonna need to go and re-up, and Jenica has a lot smaller of a team on her side. This is something.
Rock's already on Big Dunka's side. Wow, he's been pumping out the damage here.
That is. He's in good position. This is the last 12,000 HP. We're gonna go and just see the swing come out. Big Dunk is looking pretty safe, while Jenica taking a counter nuke, taking a nuke on Cecil. Gonna have to go and get some good dodging on this. But another brilliant work here for his Big Bang's coming out. That might take out Cecil. It can still take out Forum as well. We'll see how it goes for Jenica, but Big Dunka has finished in first place. GG's to Big Dunka as we go, and we'll see if he is interested in an interview. And we go and get the final times.
I got it here. Final time for Big Dunka at 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 5 seconds. GG's, Dunka. That was a clincher of a race.
Oh yeah, that
up to 2-0 in the hook group.
Now let's see if we can get him in here for an interview. And I believe we're joined by Big Dunka now. GG's, Big Dunka.
Thank you, GG's.
So, question of the hour for me. When you saw the crystal sword, did you regret getting rid of second Cecil?
Not really, because I knew that, both Yang and Edge were going to be okay there. It makes it just slightly more controlling to grind, but I could go either way with that one, but I didn't necessarily regret it. If I would have seen a second one, I would have regretted it.
That is very fair. Well, that was definitely quite the seed for you. You and Jenica both cleared a lot of the overworld. You did more looting while she was a bit more direct, but we're still pretty neck and neck throughout most of the seed, to be entirely honest. What were your thoughts on just how things started out in that seed?
Pretty fast. Love the fast. I mean, yeah, there's not much going on there. It was almost streamlined all the way through. There was nothing out of the ordinary. None of the difficult spots were required for anything. And you see Dark Crystal, you're already 2 in, and you're done. And the only concern I had is, did I have enough Sirens to grind?
Yeah, I did see you went and burned through all the ones that you had as you're on the moon. You did go and get over nuke levels on the kids. Was there a specific point you were going to go and try and grind for, or were you just at that point deciding, and last of the Sirens, go from there?
At that point, it was, I'm going to burn through them all, and then if Porum is under 17, I'll definitely do a boss if I need to. Anything 17, 18 is a little itchy. Right, just over 18 is where I think she ended up being, and that's right at the spot where you want low rolls on the Big Bangs, and then you're fine. But that was borderline where I was looking.
That's definitely... Those are very reasonable concerns when Porum is your white mage.
Yeah, no Rosa anywhere. I was begging for that Rosa on the moon. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that... Oh, excuse me. Vitasia, were you going to ask a question?
I wanted to let you finish that thought, though, about Rosa, because that was something that we were concerned about as well. Porum is just you.
It's just the health pool. Usually the heals are fine. It's just the health pool. It can get so close to... even at 18, it was dangerous. I think she dropped down in the hundreds once.
Yeah, she took a 1700 Big Bang, and you had her with some pretty good gear there with that white shirt and the silent staff. And a ribbon as well, I think.
Yeah, got a ribbon on. The only thing she didn't have on was a ring.
Yeah, that was that's a better than average equipped Porum, and she was still she was a higher level than average Porum as well. So that was, I can definitely see you going to be a bit frightened of that fight. Do you consider trying to get Hallam back up, not to go and throw out more nukes, but to go and be as a backup to be a 1 of 2 to survive a Big Bang, so he could throw a life potion if Porum goes down?
I didn't Zerk Edge for that reason.
I
don't know if you... Because I tossed the first 2 darts, and then I just sat on him while I was waiting. So it was a little bit less damage out, but just in case she went down, I had the Edge was still up to throw a quick life potion on, and I still had an elixir in my pocket too.
Okay, that is something. Yeah, both you and Jenica were in the Z fight at the same time, so we were going back and forth. So I missed that detail. That definitely a heads up play there. Good insurance policy.
Yep. Yeah. So I wasn't horribly worried. And then I knew if in that scenario, if they went down, either I was dead or the black hole would likely follow, and then I should be able to recover at that point because I'll get 2 full turns.
I was going to ask you, Dunka, your strategy kind of from the beginning differed quite a bit from Jenica in that you were looting a lot more. You even went through, Eblin Castle, which netted you the crystal sword of all things, but is that a typical strategy that you do, or is it something that you saw your party and were like, nah, I got to do some more looting?
A little bit of both. If it's a hook route, and I know that the hook route could be challenging, I mean, luckily the hook route was cake, but if it's a hook route, I will often snag those 3 trap chests from the castle, just because the strength of those chests are so much higher than everything else you're going to get in the game. So I'll often do that with hook routes. I don't recall the last time I did Castle Eblin with Magna Key, though. Usually that's hook route only, and then I usually even do that before the dive, because, and that's exactly why, is because sometimes you get crystal swords.
Beyond that, you did more looting, you did Eblin Castle, you did all of, Cave Eblin going into the Underworld, you did, I think you ended up doing, in the Fey March, you were opening quite a few chests as well, even having to reset out. Is that just the standard strategy? I don't know what your chest count looks like, but, I struggle with that myself as a runner because I like to open chests because I like the sound. Is that a strategy that
it's hit and miss. I'll usually do. It kind of depends. I would say most of the time I will open most of those. The gear is always nice. Selling is really the important part. Find a couple of good pieces of gear that's going to sell for 10-20 grand. Then you're set for buying sirens, especially with this group. Sirens. I can't remember. Do sirens first? I don't remember what was what in this one. I think sirens were in Eblin, I think.
I believe they're in Tumra.
Okay, yeah. I have a tracker, but I'm not looking at it. But yeah, it's most at that point. It's just buying, because the grind there is. It doesn't matter the grind before or after. The other really big thing too, and something to keep in mind is if sirens were nowhere, then that seed is going to be completely different. You're going to need a lot more resources. The other thing too, and I was going through, and I don't know if you noticed, I was checking weapon shops for ninja swords, and because I was still, double shorts, and what are they, 66k a piece? So, luckily, I didn't actually need them, but yeah, money mostly.
That was something we were discussing because 66k each for Edge, and he needs 2 of them. That is a lot of money to have to invest in just getting Edge equipped. So that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Luckily in this case, I got Adamant immediately before, because they were at Dwarf Castle, and I was able to go. I checked it and then left to see what was on sale down at the smithy before I decided to do anything, because you'll often get Muras down there. And there was at least the one, plus a long, and it's like, at that point, Ninja's not important. And the Zeus gauntlets were super important there.
Yeah, that's the Zeus gauntlet is a very big, helpful piece of equipment for you, I think.
Yeah, especially with that when I'm going 2.5 Zerks, basically.
I was going to ask you also about ditching Tellah. It was something that both you and Jenica actually ended up doing, but Tellah's been almost essential throughout this particular tournament.
Really good.
Yeah, so what was your thought process there? Were you like, hey, I got Edge, I can steal Sirens, worst case scenario, or what was going through your mind there?
I made a second save on a second file after doing Tellah, and I was going to say specifically, if there's nothing there, if it was a dud, the item, I think it's Legend Sword, I was just going to reset out and save it for later. But then I got through and I got the crystal sword and a bunch of other things. I'm like, okay, there's not need. But I was actually really concerned. I definitely saved on a different file just in case I needed to go back and get that Tellah, in case there was something nasty down in the hook route.
Yeah, what were some of your what would go and make you really turn around and redo that fight?
Boy, I'm sure there would be a few bosses down there that would have been brutal. Boy, you know what? Nothing really comes to mind. I think I lost all train of thought of that when the crystal sword popped. So at that point, you know what? I had that, and there was also a glass helm too. I think I had at that point. Maybe it was after. And then, you know what? Maybe that was after. But, you know, at that point, you can just back row Cecil. He's got crystal armor on, and anything heavy melee, you'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I imagine. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the... And when I saw the crystal sword, all thoughts exit my head. I just like your thought bubble being a lot of complicated things, and then it's just a giant crystal sword that says, in neon flashing lights, damage.
Yep. It's always fun that way.
Well, Vitasia, go ahead.
To say, kind of final questions. You know, you move on to 2-0 in this hook route. You know, I'm right there with you in terms of the hook route. How's this tournament been going for you so far? Obviously, not how you would probably like, but kind of walk me through your strategy for the next couple rounds, just in case I have to face you next round.
Oh, well, if you're going to face me, you should... I'm definitely not going to do that. And no. These are... Even though that at 2-0, I'm guaranteed at least 2 more matches, I still think these are must-wins. Just because those play-in games, to have the ability to do 2 play-in games over 1 is just astronomically important, because both of these matches are going to be ridiculous.
That is a very fair point. You are 2-0. You're going to be going into 3-0, or well, you're going to be playing for 3-0 next week. I like asking this question because I like putting people on the spot. Are there any runners that you're excited about the potential of being able to face next week, even if you take a loss, or runners that you're terrified of going and seeing come up in the event you have to beat them for that spot at 3-0? Yes.
If you're looking for specifics, I don't really have specifics. There's a lot of them. There's just a bunch. I don't have a great answer for that.
That's fair. It's been a theme. There's a lot of great runners, yourself included. There's a lot of talent that's been showing up for these races. So I'm going to wish you best of luck in your next week, and congratulations on your 2-0 for this round of the hook route.
Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Big Dunka. If you like what this often, go ahead and give him a follow here on Twitch. I do want to give one more shout out as we see rocks fall over on Jenicastrife side to our wonderful Restreamed team in the background, Boren Soren, doing the tracking. Boren Soren and myself actually have our race on Thursday, so I'm looking forward to that one. And also Alisail doing on the Restream. Rolled this wonderful Jenny scene for us. Thank you so much to our team behind the scenes.
Yes, and thank you to you as well for joining my commentary, Vitasia. This has been a very exciting match to call, and Jenica has just finished. She has an official time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 25 seconds. Congratulations to her, and we'll see if we can get her in if she's up for an interview. But definitely exciting to see the only real difference between our runners' parties as well was one Big Dunka went with 2 Cecils, Jenica went with 1. And that did make some little difference. Big Dunka also just going earlier, so really close race. Just 1 wipe and 1 grind fight, and Jenica was back into that Z fight. That's a nice race. That is a good, fun race.
anything where you're inside 10 minutes of one another, I think is a good race because all it takes is one flub up from Zeromus. And in these sorts of races, where you're counting the HP for Zeromus and his big bangs, that can make the difference. And I do believe we are now joined by Jenicastrife. GG's.
I think Jenica's having some slight mic difficulties. 1 second.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
All
you
right.
now.
So GG's to Big Dunka.
It was certainly a good race for you. You were both. Your first entry into the Zeromus fight was just after Big Dunka, so you were both neck and neck.
Yeah, it was one of those where I was just kind of like winging a prayer there.
That's what you need sometimes in these races. You were both like being in the Zeromus fight at the same time is what you need for some of these fights or some of these races, as you're just going to be needing to shave off things wherever you can, and you definitely did a lot of shaving.
Yeah, and then I also did some forgetting that I didn't have the passing as well, so it kind of evens out.
I've done that. I think everyone does that, to be entirely honest.
Really, I mean, the entire race came down. It felt like it was a very linear seed, all things said, but it was interesting seeing two different styles because Dunka was opening a whole lot more chests than you were. He ended up finding a crystal sword in Eblan Castle.
Ooh, okay.
So he only had one Cecil, but you had two Cecils, so it felt like you were in more control of your agility and your setup for the entire.
Yeah, I never found a curse ring or a dwarf axe or anything like that, so I felt a little shaky with that agility. I like to have him a little lower, but yeah, I was gonna go to Eblan if I didn't make it through the hook. So
Yeah, that hook rope didn't end up being too bad, but
no, it wasn't too bad.
how were you feeling when you saw the blue robe there and didn't have Quake going into that blue robe fight?
Yeah, I felt like, well, this is just gonna take what it takes, I guess.
That's
So
fair.
I think he might have gotten Quake during that fight, actually. Yeah, he did. I remember.
Yeah, I was going to mention partway through you were able to start quaking. You just pop down those last few fights very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious if you were tempted to go and grind for Quake, or you decided no, we have to keep going. I don't want to go and burn time going back and grinding Quake.
To be honest, I didn't even really think about it because he usually gets Quake so quickly. I'm kind of on autopilot with that, and it just happened kind of magically with the gauntlet there.
That is entirely fair. And if it was Water Hag, Quake would have been overkill as well, because all right, well, the damage I do is just going to be this. It's just 3 hits. Damage doesn't really matter in this fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And once you hit underground, you went and started going and shop checking. What went and drove you to check shops over checking your pan?
I totally. That was another one I forgot momentarily. I was actually grinding, and I was like, I have the pan. I don't know what I'm doing. So I aborted mission on that one, and then hit Yang.
Hey, that's another thing I've done myself as well.
Yeah, just sitting there looking right at me, and I didn't see it.
It's easy to get focused on a lot of these things. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in these races, and a lot of things you're going to be focusing on. When you're grinding, was there a specific thing you were going to go and grind for, or were you just thinking of, like, what was your plan?
Oh, yeah, so when I started grinding that first time, what I was thinking, I was, like, a little bit floaty at that point, and I was like, well, maybe I'll grind for King, Queen, Fey March, and then I remembered the pan, and then obviously that kind of took me on a completely different chain.
Definitely, like, following those fights is definitely good. So you're thinking of going and doing King, Queen, Evelyn over, or King, Queen, Fey March over Keyless Tower?
Yeah, I was kind of debating either or, Keyless Tower, I don't know, it's like 50-50 for me with that one. Sometimes I feel like a genius when I do it, sometimes not.
Definitely understandable.
Yeah, and honestly, if I had remembered I didn't have the pass, I probably would have done a gold dragon grind instead, so.
I was actually going to ask you about because both you and Dunka did this, so it didn't necessarily cost you. But how nervous were you in avoiding Tellah there?
Yeah, so basically my thought process was with that, I was iffy on it, but I thought, well, if I don't have to do, if complete sealed cave is a objective, I don't necessarily have to do the warp glitch there, but it ended up kind of working out. I think I got a Zeus gauntlet there, which was nice, but yeah, I wasn't required, so neither of us, I assume, did that one.
So yeah, I mean, neither of you did it, but the item that you got from warping was the adamant. So
Oh, it was adamant. Yeah, okay. That's right. It pushed me to forge. That's right.
Yeah, when you saw that forge, did that go and affect any of your decision making? Was that why you were thinking of King Queen Evelyn over Keyless Tower?
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of gonna sort of combine my, end game grind a little bit with King Queen. To be honest, I'm still like a little shaky when it comes to that part. Like if I didn't have the pan, I wasn't like 100% confident that was the right decision, but then, I saw the pan and I was like, okay.
You're not alone. That's always a hard check to see. All right, I have Feymarch, Keyless Tower, and nothing else.
Yeah, and it was Baigan and somebody that might have been a little easier. Right? I'm having trouble remembering, but
Vavalis, no, absolutely.
Oh, was
not.
it? Oh, never mind. No, terrible.
Look, Vavalis is free if you go and get an Aegis Shield, a Moon Veil, and a Bacchus Wine. You go and pop the Moon Veil, you use the Aegis Shield to prevent the Petrify, and then you just sit back and wait 5 minutes for Cecil to go and finally kill Valvalis.
Oh, well, I'll try that next time.
Yeah, no problem.
Fun fact.
Free is in heavy quotations, but
yeah, exactly.
I am nothing if not the nerd of all the different types of combo-tastic things you can do.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, you learn something new every day.
I always love to go and share. This was definitely a great match. Were there some points where you were just... was there ever a point where you're really thinking, I really want something, aside from the end where you're hunting for that curse string?
Yeah, the curse ring was the big obvious want for me. At the very beginning, up until I forged, I was pretty low on heavy hitting equipment. So I was feeling a little iffy about my double Cecil situation because I was not wanting to limp through the rest of the seat with like just a poison axe. So
that is very fair.
Yeah.
Well, Vitasia, do you have any final questions?
I gotta ask this as someone who's also in the hook route. 1-1, this puts the pressure on for the next race, doesn't it? It's kind of one more loss and you're out, doesn't it? What's your mindset into the rest of this tournament then?
When I entered the tournament, I was nowhere near ready, and I wasn't expecting to, even win one race. So I'm just happy to be playing with everybody and get as far as I have.
You've definitely been playing well. You put on a very great show this race, so...
Well, thanks. I appreciate that a lot.
I'm looking forward to going even if you don't go as far as you can or as far as possible in this one, looking forward to see you compete in any future events as well, because you've definitely been going and putting on a good show.
Well, I'm there. Sign me up.
Well then, we'll let you go. Congratulations, and good luck on your match next week.
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for all the hard work you're doing with this tournament.
Thank you. Always glad to go and have runners to go and put it on 4.
Oh yeah. All right. Have a nice night, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Jenicastrife. If you like what you saw from her, go ahead, give her a follow here on Twitch. One last shout out to Alisale, our wonderful restreamer, Boren Soren, our tracker, Bakashinobi, my wonderful co-commentator. It's always a pleasure working with you, man.
Yeah, it's great fun working with you as well, Vitasia. You are an amazing person to go and commentate with, and This is a great race to commentate. No breaks in the action, constant things going on. This was a great race, and well, it's sad for it to be over. It was nice while we were going commentating it.
Absolutely. Also, a shout out to RPG Limit Break. Thank you for hosting us and for allowing us to use the channel in this partnership. If you guys stay tuned, we're going to send you guys over to another race currently in the process of going through. It is Gambit 017 versus Leggy Starscream going on over at our home Free Enterprise channel. If you stay tuned, we are going to go raid those. Otherwise, thank you guys so much. We'll catch you at the next race.
Indeed. And for those of you joining the raid, please do not spoil the results of this match. Feel free to say it was a good one, but let anyone who wants to go and remain unspoiled remain so. Thank you all, and have a great evening.